space or floating. Take it easy, ain't no need for a sensation. In a swamp of sensory deprivation, we call home.
All right, welcome everybody.
Welcome, hey there. If this is your first time joining us,
Then
welcome to you too. I guess it's really not
hi.
different.
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to exclude them or anything.
No, I'm
That's
happy
the
you're
direction
here.
you were going.
Yeah, but don't do it again.
I'm Graham,
I'm Ashkan.
and today's question is reasons for or against pregnant women floating throughout pregnancy. Things to be aware of at different points during the pregnancy, etc. See if you can guess where the question mark was.
Nowhere.
Nope, there was one.
Oh.
Incorrect.
Huh.
All right, anyway, let's get on to that.
Okay.
So it was at the...
I'll figure it out.
I was going to say it was after the word pregnancy, but it's in there like 5 times. So.
Pregnant floats.
I recommend them.
Yeah.
I've never been pregnant, but they sound from people who have, like, they're really good. I mean, you're fundamentally carrying around a huge amount of weight in your belly. So going into a situation
like you have
that's
a tiny
weightless,
float tank on your stomach. So, I mean, that's it. Like, it's all good. Like, no, okay. So, here's the deal. People who float while pregnant tend to have pretty incredible experiences. Like, it's some of just, like, the most magical stories we hear are people coming in at, like, various stages of pregnancy from early to late. I have these, like, anywhere from amazing stories with regard to, like, the physical sensation and, like, getting the weight off of their body and all that stuff off to like really emotional stories about feeling like, a connection with this tiny person inside of them and stuff like that is really, like, heartwarming to hear. So it's super, super great. Like, they are some of our most satisfied customers. They're some of the people that have the most incredible float experiences.
And it kind of makes sense too when you think about it. I mean, you have a lot going on in your body when you're pregnant, like it's going through this weird change that it only does at very specific times in your life. And it's really cool. Like, I think being alone with yourself and kind of being more conscious of all of those changes and of this, entity that you're making inside of yourself, just, kind of like you said, it ends up being really magical. And we've had a lot of customers who are pregnant and come through. We've had one of our staff members who floated with us while she was working with us while she was pregnant and floated the entire time. She actually wrote a great blog on that too, like her own experiences during her pregnancy, which we'll throw into the show notes so you can check out if you want to. But I guess the question is also around, it's not uncommon for float centers to have waivers that they include pregnancy on, right? Like, it'll be no floating during your first or third trimester is something that I've seen on waivers a lot. And I guess just in general too, pregnancy is this delicate kind of situation that you have going on. So there's natural fear maybe in exposing pregnant ladies to something that will somehow harm them or harm the baby.
Yeah, and that's going to be like, you're going to get a lot of questions. Like, lots of women who come in who are pregnant will start asking things that are kind of complicated or very specific, and in general, kind of like pretty much all other medical questions, our default answer is to be like, listen, like, we're just running this float tank center. We're not. This is not a maternity ward. Like, you should go ask your doctor if you feel uncomfortable about anything. If you have any questions, if you're concerned that floating may do something that will result in harming your pregnancy in any way, like, we're not gonna be the ones to tell you answers to that. Like, check in with your physician and have them let you know if they think it's okay for you to float or not.
Yeah, super good default answer for any of this. And also for
Anything,
general
yeah.
medical conditions at all. Yeah, whenever someone asks you something about what's going on with them personally, especially if it's related to, pregnancy.
That's how I answer if people ask where the bathroom is. I'm like, listen.
Well, go talk to your doctor about the bathroom, okay? I'm just some dude who works here. Yeah. But that said, I don't personally know of anything, like any study that's been done on floating being harmful in the first or third trimester.
Right.
Like the best that we can put together is that it's just when miscarriages are the most likely to happen. Like they often happen in the first or third trimester, either when things are just getting started or when they're kind of coming to term. And so it's not uncommon in a lot of different businesses, especially, riskier ones, to put that exact clause in their waivers as well, kind of exclude women in the first or third trimester, and often not related to the activity, but just the fact that because that's when miscarriages were to happen, or when they do happen, if it happens right around this activity that they're doing that's very novel and strange, something like hopping in a float tank, then it's not a far stretch for someone to assume that maybe the float tank contributed to the miscarriage, and that's sort of asking for problems. Again, at least that's the logic, I think, going into that line that people put in their waivers.
And there's there's something you hear about kind of while you're pregnant, not sleeping on your back because of the pressure that it's adding. I feel like I've had people talk to their doctors about that, and just the kind of pressure that's not there in a float tank because you're not on like a hard surface necessarily has been enough to not have physicians seem to think that would be a concern in a float tank, from what I've heard.
Yeah, and there's also ways to float on your stomach during pregnancy. There's kind of like all different positions that you can do based on what's comfortable. So even if that's a concern of a particular doctor, you don't actually have to float on your back. And you don't need to snorkel either. You can float face or belly down, kind of arms crossed, almost in front of you with your head resting on them and a neck pillow or something. So yeah, you don't need to go full snorkel to engage in that.
Yeah, you can go part snork and it'll be fine. But there's just kind of that general, I mean, obviously you're going to want to make sure the rest of your normal safety stuff is good too. Like slip resistance is like especially a bigger concern if someone is pregnant and things like that. But that's good practice regardless of if people are pregnant or not, that you're going to want to have in your float center. So at the point that you're set up to run, a decently safe business to begin with, there's not like a thing out there where it's like, we know that floating causes this in pregnant women and therefore it's like a health concern.
Yeah.
So far. I mean, again, like this.
And we do know that a lot of pregnant women have floated throughout their entire pregnancy and have had amazing experiences.
Yeah, definitely.
But again, the key thing here is just get doctor's approval. Like if it, like the thing you'd be worried about as a float center is the liability that comes with recommending someone float when, something bad could happen. So put that liability on the doctor. Like that's what they're there for.
And it's not all about liability.
Well, yeah, I mean everyone's condition is totally separate, right? Yeah, I'll just agree for you. Yes, everyone's condition is totally separate, Graham. Thanks. So with a doctor's approval, you're not just clearing liability, but it does clear liability.
Yes.
That's my point. If the doctor feels comfortable, you should.
Yeah, and then there's nothing out there in terms of the world of float knowledge that makes you that means something, or that maybe that doctor doesn't, or there's not.
You're totally clueless. Yeah, you're a babe lost in the woods on this one.
There's also a really good talk from the Float Conference a couple of years ago from Kirsten and Lena from Float Alaska came and gave a presentation. They run a birthing center / float center, so they have a ton of experience with people who are pregnant floating.
Way more experience than we have.
Yeah. Was just seeing people come to our place and be like, cool, it's still going good, huh?
There's a creature in there?
But they have people floating, all throughout their pregnancy and afterwards, and, did a great presentation about kind of their experience running a business like that. So definitely worthwhile watching. We'll put that in the show notes.
And also in the show notes, too, we have a kind of big blog post that we did a little while earlier on floating well pregnant. And it has great illustrations, too, for the actual positions that pregnant ladies find comfortable in the float tank, which are a little different than what you might recommend for your regular floaters. So, yeah, definitely go over and check those out. And
also in the show notes is going to be a haiku about floating while pregnant, because our show notes person thinks I'm not giving enough little show notes challenges for her. So there you go. Look forward to that.
And if you have haikus of your own that you want to share, go to floatanksolutions.com/podcast and type them in there along with your float questions. Yeah, agreed. Thanks. I felt like that was good advice. You did a great job. Yeah, good. All right. Well, we'll see everyone tomorrow.